resistance.
We are drugged out. We are following other people's opinions. We are controlled by the media. Today, it all changes. This reality has been forced upon us. It is a choice, just like when I said slavery is a choice. Einstein says the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. So we keep on saying, I hate you, f you, f you. How are we going to get a different result out of hate? Why don't we just try love? Why don't we just try love? We have the resources for a peaceful world.
Hey, y'all. It is April the 2nd. 2019. This is Gerard Slavinsky reporting auxiliary for lnfow4rs.com, San Antonio division. I'm here live in San Antonio, and we're here to cover a few things. It's April the 2nd, 2019. You might have heard over this past week, San Antonio has been in the news, very much all over the news. You may or may not have heard of it. I wanted to bring that to the table. It's dealing with Chick-fil-A. All right. But before we get into that, I do want to discuss there's always ongoing developments in the whole Parkland situation. All right. Always ongoing developments. And we're going to be covering them close here on this channel. And of course, subscribe to BitChute. There's a Brighteon channel. All right. Here's the thing. We got a few things to discuss today. As far as Parkland, there's a couple of things. We're keeping a close eye on David Hogg. The reason we're doing so is because he seems to be the most notable of all the, quote, Parkland survivors. Now, that definition is kind of loosely attributed to David Hogg, and we're going to discuss that further in the future. But we did want to point out that he's incurring all sort of success. Take it for what you will. He's going on a speech tour, probably getting thousands and thousands of dollars every time that he makes one of these speeches. Now, I've been looking for a comprehensive list as far as how many speeches David Hogg has given and where he's been giving them. It's not really easy to find, but I've been making my own. Over the past month or so, he's been to a number of places, to include Connecticut. He did a speech over there at UConn. We got a Westminster town hall forum that he did in Minneapolis. And of course, just recently, there was a PR Week US Awards, if you've ever heard of it, in New York City. And he went ahead, he did that. He got in a tuxedo and stuff. Apparently in January, I believe January 23rd through the 25th, there was a conference. And I saw it recently, just recently, because I did not know about it. Came across it on the internet, and what I saw was baffling, all right? And like I said, this was a while ago. This was January the 23rd through the 25th, somewhere in there. There was a conference of the mayors, or something. This goes on in Washington, D.C. All right? If you've ever heard of it. This is where hundreds of mayors from across America get together and they discuss, strategies for being a mayor, okay? It's a conference of the mayors. For some reason, David Hogg was a guest speaker there, where he delivered an amazing speech where he berated all sort of mayors throughout the country for not doing enough to stop gun violence or violence in general. David Hogg really was talking to a whole bunch of mayors like they were children, and I think that was pretty important. I think that's going to go down in the history books, and I wanted to bring that up. If you haven't seen that, beware, buyer beware, but go check that out. Also, I would like to discuss, just real briefly, our good friend Scotty Israel. This is the former sheriff of Broward County, and we've been watching him make a dang fool of himself for many months now. All right, Scotty Israel, speaking of which, just went to court yesterday. All right, and this was, of course, to appeal. The fact is that he got fired. He got thrown out from his office, and rightfully so, or at least that's the way it appears. He went to go ahead and appeal. And he wound up in court yesterday. Yes, that's right, April Fool's Day, in order to see if he could finagle his position back, his office back. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen in a million years, but it does make you wonder what exactly is going on here. Now, the thing is, you have a Scotty Israel, like I said, former sheriff, the new sheriff being Gregory Tony. You have Scotty Israel, and he's demanding his job back, or begging for his job back, and he's appealing for his job back, saying that this is all political, that this is some sort of political ploy. And if it were up to the citizens of Broward County, that they would easily put him back in his office in order to keep them safe. Now, like I said, not in a million years is this going to happen. And I don't live in Broward County. We're reporting here live in San Antonio. But not in a million years, all right? Even if they wanted to for some sick reason, they wouldn't be able to just because Scotty Israel's name is so tainted. So it does make you wonder as to the mental faculties of Scotty Israel. And, in fact, maybe the nefarious agenda of a Scotty Israel. It'll make you wonder. All right. So with that being said, I just wanted to get that out of the way, those being the current events taking place in Parkland. And also feel free to leave a comment below. Let me know what's really taking place in Parkland and in Broward County in general, because there's a lot of things. It's hard to take it all in. Broward County is a wild, wild county, and we've gone over that in this channel. And we're going to continue to keep an eye on Broward County in general. Lastly, I do want to talk about, like I said, it's been on everybody's minds. People have lost sleep over it all throughout the country and perhaps over the world. This is in dealing with the Chick-fil-A scandal at the San Antonio International Airport. As you know, we're reporting live here from San Antonio, so we got our ears to the ground as far as the international airport situation and Chick-fil-A. All right, it seems like maybe perhaps it's a done deal. What we're talking about is basically a food court in the airport at the International San Antonio Airport. All right, apparently Chick-fil-A has been banned from it. All right, I found out a few days ago, and people have been talking about it breathlessly for a while. It seems to be dying down now. All right, but what I want to explain is it's kind of interesting when you take in all the factors of San Antonio. A lot of people aren't familiar with San Antonio, but San Antonio is a big fan of a lot of things. The Spurs. There's a big Catholic crowd, and we're going to talk about that. There's all sort of religion here and non-religion. In San Antonio, it's a very big city, but there's a large Catholic community, and we're going to talk about that a little more in the future. San Antonio really, really likes food, and they love them some Chick-fil-A, all right? Understand that there's about 20 locations of Chick-fil-A in San Antonio that I know of. In fact, there's probably more. I'm not sure if they're including like the location inside USAA for that matter. There's probably all sort of Chick-fil-A's that we don't even know about. Chick-fil-A, a lot like a Whataburger, is pretty much completely taking over San Antonio. It's an interesting thing to watch. But here's the thing, I can't hate on it because Chick-fil-A does a wonderful job, and nobody can debate this, all right? They're the best, probably the best ever, all right? They're definitely in the top 5. Chick-fil-A, they were banned from the airport, and a lot of people got very upset about this. All right, and if you're not familiar why that is, it's because for a couple years now, it turns out that Chick-fil-A has had a running beef in the media with the LGBTQ community. All right, the LGBT community is not, they're not very accepting of the way that Chick-fil-A, and the thing is, it's not the entirety of the company, it's the owner of the company. All right, it's the COO, I forget his name, but it seems like a good man. And a few years ago, he stood up for traditional marriage, and that was really bad. The LGBTQ community went ahead and ostracized him to no end, and they even tried to protest Chick-fil-A. Now, try to protest a Chick-fil-A in San Antonio. It just ain't going to work, all right? People are going to flood into the Chick-fil-A, and they're just not going to stop. They're just not going to stop. You're not going to stop them, all right? And there's all sort of reasons why they're doing it. Wanted to bring that up. But I also wanted to give it a little bit of insight because, like I said, we got our ears down to the ground here, and we're really getting out of the nitty gritty. See, a lot of people, there's controversy about it. Basically, you have a side saying, "Oh, they're anti-LGBTQ. Got to ban them from the airport." All right, that's one way of thinking, and on the other end of thinking, you have people saying, "Hey, they're hating all over Chick-fil-A simply because the man has an opinion." All right, is having an opinion illegal? Does that get you banned from everything? See, these are two sides, a polarized sides, and then there's the majority of people who are in the middle who just don't even know what's going on. Never heard of it, maybe did hear of it, have no idea why it's important. It's hard to tell why it's important, to be honest with you. Like I said, it's 20 locations in San Antonio. There's actually a location that's 1.7 miles away from the airport. It's about 7 minutes, a 7-minute drive to Chick-fil-A. If you really, really are in a desperate need for Chick-fil-A and you're at the airport, you're coming through San Antonio. All right, I wanted to bring that up. And I wanted to bring up the nuance in there because, see, what a lot of people ain't going to catch right now is kind of a big deal, sort of, indirectly. The reason being that there's council people involved. All right, city councilmen actually who are involved in voting. You know, as you might understand, the airport, it's like people coming through San Antonio are going to see the airport typically. All right, so you want to have it represent San Antonio in the best possible manners. Now, I did a little diving into it, and there was all sort of meetings about the Chick-fil-A being banned from out of the airport. One of the main drivers of Chick-fil-A being banned from out of the airport is actually a councilman by the name of Robert Trevino, and I'm afraid that we're going to cover him more and more probably in the future, Robert Trevino, and whether or not he gets reelected here in San Antonio. Thing is, it was Robert Trevino that brought this to the forefront, and then of course there was other city councilmen who went ahead and agreed with him, thereby banning Chick-fil-A from the airport. Now, the ban in and of itself, I don't know what that means anyways when you think about it, because a lot of people lobby to have their restaurants, maybe a chain restaurant, in a certain place. It's going to get a lot of business, say the mall or say the airport or something. This happens, all right, when people lose out on those contracts, which happens all the time. It happens most of the time. When people lose out on these contracts, does that mean that they're banned from this place? Or does that mean that they lost out on the contract? What does it mean to be banned from the airport is what I'm really most curious about. What does that even mean? And I'm pretty sure I could ask Robert Trevino about that because he seems to be at the forefront. And as you can imagine, there's also other lobbyist groups who lobby to keep Chick-fil-A from out of the airport, even though, like I said, 20 locations plus in San Antonio. It really doesn't matter. They're taking over, all right? And for good reason. So Robert Trevino's at the forefront of this, and not only that, he's kind of backed by a mayor who hardly anybody knows. Most people in San Antonio do not know his name, but his name is Ron Nirenberg. He's the mayor of San Antonio. I would also like to point him out real quick before we get out of here. You'll notice a few things about him. He doesn't really have hard stances on anything, as you would imagine. He's a typical Democrat mayor of San Antonio, in which nobody knows his name. All right, but it's important, I think, to note that he does have a way about him. You might attribute or reference Barack Obama, or you might even reference an even newer model by the name of Beto O'Rourke. Beta O'Rourke, as they call him. All right, he's an interesting kind of character, but what I had to assure you is that from what I've seen over the past several years in regards to the San Antonio mayoral elections, is that he's going to be no different, hardly any different from his competitor by the name of Greg Brockhouse. Now, there's other people vying for the spot of mayor of San Antonio that actually takes place. The election is going to take place on May the 4th, I believe, 2019. There's a number of people, but they're all going to basically be the same. Like I said, nameless, hardly faceless Democrats. But you do want to keep an eye on the current one, Ron Nierenberg, just because, like I said, he seems like he's a future Beto. He seems like a future Obama. He seems like they're cut from the same old. He seems like they make clones, and he's the latest clone. He's Ron Nierenberg. He's running San Antonio, all right? But the thing is, I wanted to bring him into the fold because he does agree with people like Robert Trevino. Now, he did want to play it off, all right, and say basically his excuse is that Chick-fil-A's aren't open on Sundays and that would be bad for business at the airport on Sundays because they get a lot of business. Basically, what I saw was Ron Nierenberg ducking and diving and not really owning up to the fact is that the LGBT community, to include lobbyists, have kept Chick-fil-A from out of the airport. That's who indeed did it. Now, in general, to me, it doesn't seem like a big situation by itself. But when you consider it as the president is setting, it's actually pretty nefarious. And in that, if anybody at all owns a business, the precedent is setting is if you own a business and you happen to have opinions and you happen to voice these opinions in the public, well, you're going to be banned from places. Anything dealing with San Antonio in general, such as the airport or such as the malls, for example, you're going to be banned from those because you're anti-LGBTQ or whatever else that we think of. We're going to ban you for it. See, that's the precedent is starting to set. See, people are starting to see the direction that San Antonio has been going for a long time, actually. Like I said, nameless, faceless Democrat mayors. All right, kind of selling us out. Now, there's been a succession of it. You have Ron Nierenberg. Before that, you had Ivy Taylor. I forget the exact sequence, but you had a Julian Castro who's running for president for 2020. He's going to fail miserably, unfortunately. You got Julian Castro, and before him, you had a Phil Hardberger. All right. And like I said, you know, it's basically been going this direction as far as mayors slowly and surely selling the people of San Antonio out. Here's the thing. San Antonio, economically speaking, has been thriving and thriving. It's just growing bigger and bigger. All right, it's been going that direction for over 10 years. It's very, very big, and it's getting bigger, and more money is coming to San Antonio. A lot of people are sitting pretty and just getting real lazy in San Antonio. That's why they don't know who the mayor is. Meanwhile, I wanted to point out that not only is the mayor and certain city council people running amok and banning places on LGBTQ stances, which really, I mean, as far as the Catholic population in San Antonio, I'm not sure how many people agree with this stance in San Antonio, or how much it is just the mayor running amok. All right, there is that. But even more important than that, reports go that here in San Antonio, and more so in other places, like say McAllen or say in El Paso, are seeing untold numbers of mass migrants. Now, chances are there's going to be a lot of migrants who are not arriving at the bus stations here in San Antonio, but also included into that is a whole gang of migrants, illegal migrants, passing through the bus stations to San Antonio by the hundreds every day. Now, they say it doesn't happen every day, and they're not sure what's the numbers. They can't keep track of it, but it seems as though there's hundreds of illegal migrants passing through the bus terminal. That would be the Greyhound bus station downtown, and probably all over through San Antonio in untold numbers. All right, and the thing is, the mayors of this city, the current mayor included, they're kind of debating whether or not San Antonio should be what's called a sanctuary city. All right, meaning untold numbers of illegal migrants going to pass through the bus station and go all throughout the country, distribute themselves all throughout the country, and not have jobs, basically. You know, most of these people don't have jobs or any money. Most of these people are dirt poor, coming from, say, either Mexico or even other places in South America, actually even other places in the Middle East and Africa. It does happen. Those are statistics. So the mayor, the current mayor, and perhaps the mayors before them, has kind of been selling out San Antonio, to include, and especially in this regard, that all sort of illegal migrants are just passed through here. It's some sort of sanctuary city. It's kind of like an illegal immigrant express highway. In fact, I-10 basically is the illegal immigrant slave labor express highway of the United States. I mean, it's probably, if not the biggest highway, it's one of the biggest, all right? So that's what we're dealing with, and we're getting to a point that not only are they trying to compromise our Chick-fil-A, right, but they're also trying to bombard us with all sort of people, and we don't know who they are, right? Like I said, slavery, sex trafficking, child sex trafficking, all these numbers increase. They correlate directly with illegal immigration coming through San Antonio. Those numbers definitely correlate. So that's happening. Untold numbers of diseases are also being brought with them. And people, just by the way, are talking a lot about vaccinations. Well, here's the thing. We don't know what all people are around us, and we don't know what all diseases that they have. That might be a health risk here in San Antonio, Texas. That might be something for the city council to talk about. However, they're talking about Chick-fil-A's. That's enough for now. I'll holler at y'all tomorrow or the next day. This is Gerard Slavinsky reporting for lnfow4rs.com, San Antonio Auxiliary Division. I appreciate you. Subscribe below, hit the bell. And also go into the description box. We're going to have a link to a BitChute. We're going to have a link to a new channel in the coming future for when this channel gets banned, all right? We're banned, but we're not banned all the way. This is Gerard Slavinsky, and I appreciate y'all. I'll holler at y'all.
We are drugged out. We are following other people's opinions. We are controlled by the media. Today, it all changes. This reality has been forced upon us. It is a choice, just like when I said slavery is a choice. Einstein says the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. So we keep on saying, I hate you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. How are we going to get a different result out of hate? Why don't we just try love? Why don't we just try love?